If people are back, I think we're back. Yeah.
I bet.
Cairo says it's Frozen. Welcome to sponsored by Disney. Sorry, I know bad pun. Scottish Trekker says difficulties in the stream. I think we've crossed over the streams. I
That
think.
just came out of nowhere. That was
Yeah.
bizarre. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're back, folks. Hopefully you're seeing us. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I think we're back. So Larry, we were talking about deliberate practice, getting that immediate
Right.
feedback, and
Right.
this
Right.
seems to be the problem. This is also like a lot of us get thrown into these situations where someone just asks us to do something, and it's totally okay to not know how to do that thing. But if you're getting some immediate feedback on how you're doing from someone who really knows how to do it well, then you can learn pretty quickly. And in fact, it's a lot of big franchises have really mastered this, where they have checklists and they have ways of really training their employees quickly to do things the McDonald's way or the Best Buy way and things like
Right.
that. Um, so in some ways, some of those big chains are very good at this process, and in some ways, it's the more smaller places that have the time and effort to kind of sit down and walk you through it. But I think this is something a lot of us don't get, and it's this is the way you can get better
Right.
faster.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, this is like, when you're doing your grade school, elementary school, and the teachers, or maybe high school,
Yeah.
whatever later, but teachers walking up and down the aisle watching students do something so they can maybe spot, and there's a term for that where you like a little corrective nudge
Yeah.
or something to help with somebody so that you don't develop bad habits. You go down the wrong way, but in specialized training later on, right? The longer you do something, if not wrong, at least not the optimum way, then the longer it'll take. You'll have to make up that ground and get out of that habit. So, right, the
Oh,
faster you can
absolutely.
get in, and it's like that's like you said, Olympic training.
Yeah.
Other things where it's like spot or like
Yeah.
in something artistic, especially like in a theatrical move or something where you've got a director, or in sports you've got the coach or whatever, the trainer,
Yep.
and because part of it is not so much doing it right, it's like not doing it wrong.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%. And this is where if you are trying to learn a new skill from scratch, it is incredibly helpful to get that, to talk to a coach, talk to a trainer, talk to your boss, and say, "Can you just watch me do this? I'd love your feedback and your thoughts on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it." There's so many times, Larry, where I've had that situation where I'm like, "Oh, one of the most basic parts of this thing, I am doing that wrong. Oh, it would be so much easier if I hold it this way." Or I didn't know there was a shortcut on my keyboard. I could just press X and I can chop the video right there. I don't have to go through all of this. It is so helpful to get those kind of experiences because we just don't know what we're doing wrong or what we're
Right.
doing not
Right.
optimally.
Right. um and we all have our own learning styles. The whole, are you visual, are you audio, are you verbal?
We could
But
talk about that. That's a whole nother episode.
hmm hmm
Research on that is
well,
not.
is this what I was going to say was, is this where you can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thinking plays in? Not so much that you're too old to learn, but you've had years of not of having the habit without that, unless you're totally starting at square one on something. But
Yeah, I mean,
how
that
much
that's
wives' tale is that, and how much ground? I mean,
that's actually
how ground.
another great topic that we could explore is like lifelong learning. I mean, there are some habits and some things that are easier to learn when you're younger, but there's um, most skills, most experiences we can learn throughout our lifetime. Like language is one. Language is one that after once you really hit your teenage years, it becomes much harder to learn.
Right.
Language is just far easier to learn when
Cram
you're.
those languages down your kid.
I agree. I agree. I wish we had more of a European model where, in a lot more European education, there's more exposure to more languages.
Well,
Um,
I think exposure is the key word there. I think we'd be a lot better off if we had just more exposure. And I don't mean to having pneumonia. I mean, I mean, yeah. exposure to all kinds of things being,
I just have to stop it. I really love Dan's comment here. Shortcut keys are cool. They beat having to say "Hello, computer." There's a time and a place for a keyboard, and I guess we see that with Star Trek sometimes. What a lot of people don't understand, Larry,
I
is
see that with iMovie and Photoshop. Yes.
yeah. Well, what a lot of people don't understand, I think our community here probably does, is the touch screens change depending on the task at hand. Now, you don't often see that in especially Next Generation because those were all made. But one of the things I think about here is like, so they do change depending on the task, but like they don't. Would people use them like a keyboard? Because the keyboard, you always know where WASD is. Like you always know where F and J
Are you
is.
talking about the Jelly Bean, the gumdrop buttons of original series? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about TNG L cars.
Right,
The
right. Yes.
they change depending on the task at hand. You can
Right,
reprogram a panel to be set for
right,
long range sensors, or you can reprogram it to blow up the damn ship.
right.
No, the line must be drawn here. There's a button for that, where the line is, and it gets drawn right there,
You
right?
broke big ships. Okay.
Never read it. But like, you learn to touch type, and you learn where the keys are. So like, how do they deal with that? What's I,
No, but that whole overlay panel thing is is how Mike McMaster retconned the original series. But that's where I thought you were going with this.
Oh no, tell me.
Totally. Well, if you get the Star Trek blueprints, the bridge blueprints from the 70s, not only did he go in and like draw you out, like finally save tons of people time by getting all the clips and figuring out the pattern. But he not only like assigned functions to buttons, those, the gumdrops and the jelly beans, but he made them an overlay. So like every station, there's an overlay that, whether it's science and library computer or it's communications, whatever it is, or the helm and nav and all that, there's one system that tells you what the overlay. You hit that button, and now all your buttons are about propulsion. You hit another button, and now they're all about weapons. And because we always used to laugh about, look, no labels. How the hell does anybody know anything they're doing? So that was a little retcon, but that's what was adopted. That's what we, if you really got sophistication, if your technology level can match having that much kind of reassignability on the run, programmability or whatever, then it makes a lot of
you
sense. And by
know
the 70s, that was a nice retcon that they didn't think about in the 60s. So
that Larry is that's this.
Mini K3, yes.
That is how our phones work now. Every interface is customized to every interface is customized to fit the needs of the immediate task. You press a button and you're in email. You press a button, you're in your calendar. You press a button, you're on Life Support Live. And I'm sure I've had this thought before, but we've sort of caught up to the interface now that was really envisioned here in TOS and to a much greater extent in TNG. Well, folks, that was your K3 factor for today. No, I'm just kidding. It is time. That was a little tease.
That
But
was a
Larry,
taste. That was a bonus.
let's go warp 9 into the K3 factor here.
Okay, boom, there it is. See on the left, right there, the the K3 circuit factor. Hey, this is deep diving real Star Trek in light of our theme today. So on the job training, and this is perfect because I'm going to go the not obvious way, because I think if people think behind the scenes, backstage, that world of Star Trek, and they think on the job training, I bet a lot of people go to all the actors that went to director's school
Oh
and
yeah.
trained up to be a director, which is starting with Jonathan Frakes was the first.
I thought you were going to go the spec script route and talk about the Ron Moores and all of that, but that would have been my obvious pick.
Well, that
I
was
have no idea where you're going here with this, Larry.
people
I'm
from,
looking at the
well,
images, but
I'm kind of a hybrid here because my point was not going. I mean, the actors becoming directors and what they used to call director school or Star Trek school. That became very famous and had a lot of folks that we can rattle off here.
by the way, I would love to go to Star Trek school. If there's a school called Star Trek school, I would like to be a professor there.
They've only had one doctorate ever. No, I'm totally. That's all just brand building. No, and what you said, excuse me, guys, gals and peeps. What did you just say? Oh yeah, that's another flavor of it, but that's more like people coming from the outside and getting a
the
chance.
spec
I don't
strip
know how
stuff.
much of it. Now, there's an always, but this happens on every show. There's the whole, whether it's writing or it's, running cable as a gaffer or whatever. You have journeymen or journey people. I don't know what they call them now. Entry levels. You have the DGA, the Directors Guild trainee program. You have people come in to be mentored, and there are structured ways to do that. What I'm talking about here is where it's kind of like between the cracks. And if you've got the first slide there, the first issue, I forgot it was the first one. The first issue of Communicator, excuse me, guys.
That I was water, Larry? You okay?
No, I'm go. It's just crap. Nothing obvious, or I'd cough.
This is Voyager.
This is the Voyager bridge set, but this was the first issue that I was managing editor of Communicator magazine, the official magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
And I did it because I knew personally. So a PA is a production assistant, basically the gophers, right?
Yeah.
So whether they're on stage or they're in the offices, they're the whatevers. And a lot of them come in as just a job. But smart people, when they're young, use it as a stepping stone to either get where they want to go or even find out where they want to go.
Sure.
Like they see all the departments working, they get a chance to have relationships, and they move up. And by the time we were halfway through Voyager and DS9 was about to end, I knew several PAs that wound up going up to jobs after that. So can you pop that up just real quick? I talked to all of these people. The point of this story was that everybody in this picture had been a PA, had been a lowly gopher at one point, but then had gone up in the production side or the writing side. Some folks may know Eric Stillwell there for one reason, and a lot of people are there on the back on the left. Dave Rossi is there down on the right. Everybody wound up to go. Some people aren't in the entertainment industry so much, and some people are like office people. But one that I wanted to point out, especially that I was really proud for her because she had kind of a tough road a couple of times, was sitting next to Dave there is April, who actually was married to Dave for a short time. But she wound up going through the production route, and just to kind of catch it up a little bit, there's one that's a title.
Yeah.
I was very shocked and surprised for her. She wound up going down the producing track on the not writing producing, but producing, and was very tickled to see her at the premiere for Discovery. She was on the producing track, and she is taking a hiatus this year. I think she has some health issues she's dealing with, so I'm behind her for that. But there's a case of somebody who started off as a PA and wound up. But another couple that people should know about that I love, and one that hits home. So the next one I had there, this is kind of has become in later years now a well-known. This is the Voyager writing room. It's the standard picture. This was done for the trading cards, and you got Brian Fuller and Brandon Braga there, and Lisa Klink and Ken Biller, and that's Jerry Taylor in the chair. But the guy at the board was the writer's. He was either the writer's PA or he was Ken's assistant later, but he may have just been a PA here or an intern. But that's Rob Doherty. And Rob is one of those. He was the first time I was like, oh, you're going to be the first writer's assistant who actually wants to be a writer that I knew about, and who may have had actual talent to get it done, because I was very pleased to see. Next slide, please.
Breaking news here, Larry. The Ferengi apparently are in season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. Thank you for that.
Well, it's about damn time. There you go. That's interesting. They just, because they're having a Discovery and a Lower Deck and a Prodigy panel. So there you go. You see, that's Rob. This is on the set of Elementary, which was this was the Sherlock Holmes without Cumberbatch. This was the Sherlock Holmes time series. And that's Rob there. He started from the left. He was the showrunner and, co-executive producer or shared executive producer. This was from their fun. I just saw this flying by on the Ethernet. I didn't watch Elementary after the first few episodes. I got it. But I was like I'm his dad or something, but I was very proud of Rob. I remember when he was a little bit, he always, by the end of Voyager, he didn't stick around for Enterprise. He went on. But if you look at your credits, he was inside. but he was never more than assistant for Ken. But he was pitching stories, and he had some credit. He sold some stories before he left, so he's using his on the job training. You have to lean in and do that, and then you have to get someone to want to do that. So it's outside the structured way. And the last one I'll throw in here. So Ken was a lowly writer's assistant, and this guy, I don't have a photo of him except from this video still. There was a fun thing done for the finale of Enterprise. But Terry Matalas I wish I had one in his office, his outer office. Was Brannon Braga's last assistant during the Star Trek years. And even into that series Brannon had for 1 year. Anyway, so Terry, I remember him sitting out front, picking up Brannon's laundry occasionally. But then I saw that he had pursued the track, wound up as the head writer and showrunner on a series called 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
And then if you pop it up the last one again, I was so happy for him because he's been the showrunner for Picard season 2 and now into season 3. So he's come full circle.
Wow.
Back to.
So I really like these examples, and these were not examples or stories I knew of at all. So you win points for the Stumping Dr. Ali contest.
It's not a contest.
It's not a contest, but if it is, you got points.
Okay.
I award you 732 points. Good thing I didn't give you 37 points.
Yeah.
But what I really love about this is it really shows the apprentice model. And I think those kind of things don't get a lot of credit. Like we talk a lot about education and learning curriculum. But one of the things that I think gets less credit are more apprenticeship models where you are working with someone who's really a master at their craft and you're learning from them bit by bit how these things work. And that's a lot of what you shared here is learning like from the gaffers who are interacting with all the different parts on a set. You learn how these things work. Like one of my favorite things, it's
that's what Kirk said to Savick in Star Trek 2.
Yeah, right.
Learn how it works.
Learn how it works. I haven't been on a set since before the pandemic, but one of my favorite things about being on a set is seeing everyone do their job well. Like when a set is working really well, like the camera people are on it, the director is on it, the lighting people are on it, the talent is on it. It's like a starship where all the systems.
Say, it's like a bridge in Red Alert or something,
or
even
absolutely.
In normal mode, yeah.
Absolutely. It's just beautiful to see all those things come together. But there's also a lot of opportunity on a set to learn from people who have expertise in stuff that you don't know anything about. And so I love how you're highlighting this model. And right now in the United States, we don't have enough people in a lot of the trades. We don't have enough electricians. We don't have enough people in construction. We don't have enough plumbers. A lot of these, we've had a deficit of people going into these fields. And these are fields that they can't be outsourced. It has to happen on site. Good luck trying to get anyone who is in any of those fields to do anything quickly for you because they're in so high demand. We just called someone to fix up something, and that person said, I could do it for you in June. I'm like, June? He said, yeah, I'm fully booked. Here's someone else. He gave me
2023.
Yeah, I know. He gave me another name, and then that person's like, I can do it for you in 4 months. I'm like, what is happening here? But I love how you're highlighting this and writing and the entertainment industry. In some ways, it functions like a trade, especially when you talk about wardrobe and you talk about a lot of the other departments that have been a big part of the Star Trek family forever. These are crafts that people develop over decades of time. So what a great story, Larry.
Why, you're welcome. I should do this more often.
You should. You
Okay.
should co-host a show that is all about this. Um, Justin here says, "Great day, life supporters. If the Ferengi are on Disco season 4,
Oh,
maybe we could see a flashback of Rom on the job training as Nagus."
oh, yes.
Oh, I would love to see that. Justin, I wonder if we're gonna see something like that in Picard in the next season. Who knows?
Who knows? I saw you're at 10:39. Nathaniel said, "How about this is examples back to, but talking about when Archer went mountaineering with um, I want to say Ramirez, but that's not
The
right.
captain
The captain of the Columbia,
of the
right,
Columbia.
right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. That's a great moment because now Archer has mentorship to provide.
Hmm.
Archer's been out there in the field, and this is one of the things about like, can you imagine, Larry, um, being a part of either NASA
Is that
in
pen loaded?
yeah, yeah.
Watch. Okay.
It's a fake. It's actually a real pen. It's not fake. This is a real functioning. I love this pen. But can you imagine being a part of?
You didn't pick it up from Q. Okay.
No.
Not our Q, the other Q. The Bond Q. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that is a franchise we haven't crossed over to ever before. I was just watching Skyfall the other day, getting ready for No Time to Die.
The name's Kirk. James Kirk.
It's actually more the name's Bashir,
Yeah,
Julian Bashir. There
there
we
is that.
go. There we go. But Larry, what was I talking about? I was talking about. Oh yeah, can you?
Throwing a pen at me. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you imagine being a part of NASA or the Soviet Union's space agency during the like '60s when like they hadn't really done any of this stuff before? They had no experience, no mentorship to really draw on.
That's, and what they did sometimes they were pulling from the wrong threads, and there was some
Right.
misguided, the thing about, barring women and that kind of thing. But it did evolve to where not only did they take non-test pilots,
Yeah.
like actual scientists, but
Yeah.
they opened it up and yeah, people of color, women, looking at different pursuits. But that's why, aside from just the romanticism of the nostalgia, that's why I love the space, even the advanced space, like Apollo 13 and Hidden Figures, and the right stuff. That's why part of there is watching them learn. Spam in a can, no bucks, no Buck Rogers, is watching them learn. And it feels like probably the whole aviation industry was that way, but it took place over 20, 30, 40 years. But the space industry was like compressed into 10 years, and it was amazing watching where we got to in 10 years. And now we're in the phase of space development where it's more like the aviation industry was.
Yeah.
We haven't, aside from these stunt flights now or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. Kairos shares for us in the IT business, especially developers, programmers, as normal folks say, learning on the job is pretty much the normal way people do almost everything. Cairo, I love that. Working in a startup, I've come to really understand how
huh,
a lot of engineers and programmers, developers, your job is basically every day to invent stuff that doesn't exist. That's often what you are
you're a
asked to
miracle
do.
worker every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, every day, Captain. It's she cannot take it. The programming cannot take anymore. Um,
A bit here, a bite there. Pretty soon you're talking about real programming. Yeah. Wait, that was crossing the other weird streams. Okay, that was politics. Yeah, you know what though? You say that entrepreneuring is a lot like that. It's like
sure. Yeah.
if you're bootstrapping, you may have some help, but even if you've got some help, Scott, even if you've got some help, you're all learning things because the self marketing and the self sales and the self promotion and the self delivery systems to get to clients and
Oh,
business
absolutely.
people. It's like you're not a cog in a big machine.
No, you're making the machine and you
Yeah,
don't know
you're
what the machine's going to look like, but you're trying to put those cogs together. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to say, Cairo, is I think we have I think people could learn a lot from the process of engineering. There's such a cool process to design thinking, like trying to Larry, did we lose one of your lights? I think one of your lights
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It's okay though. I can still see you. Um there
There are two lights.
there with that, why don't we open up that last second to last part of the show here. This is
It's
the
the
away mission.
Olympics. Look at that graphics and everything. Okay.
We got graphics, folks. We got graphics. We got facts. We got stories. We got Star Trek.
You
So
got rhythm. Who could ask for anything more?
who
Okay.
can ask for any more canon? So the
Toyota.
who can ask for any more Star Trek now? Gosh, Larry, we were so spoiled. What a era of
I
Star
can.
Trek.
I
Yeah.
can.
I think we're competing here with a new Star Trek Discovery trailer that just dropped. Thanks, Jared, for telling everyone about that. Hopefully, we still have everyone is still here, folks. So, what was I going to say? Oh, away mission, right? So this is the part
Well,
of the show where I share a little bit of what you can do to apply some of the stuff to your own life. So if you want to, whether it's related to your work or whether it's related to a craft that you enjoy or a art that you want to pursue, um, I my recommendation to you is to get feedback from the best. If you have a supervisor, if you have a boss, if you have a coworker, someone who's really good at doing the thing that you want to get good at, ask them. Ask them, hey, can you just watch me do this and give me any feedback that you have on what I can improve?
like Cadet Junior, acting ensign,
Exactly.
whatever he was. Yeah, with one.
Exactly.
Yes.
I've done this. I've done this many times. I once asked someone like, "How is it that you are so responsive to your email? I want to get as good as you are with that. How do you do it?" Asking people like a big thing for me when I was practicing full time was keeping up with all the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork to being in the mental health field, and so I asked for feedback from one of my bosses. I showed her my notes and said, "How can I do this better? This is taking too much time." And she kind of marked it up, gave me a lot of feedback, things like that. Now, if you don't have that available, which many of us might not, especially in this world, or if you're trying to improve your craft or your art form or anything like that, the best thing you can do here is to try to emulate people who are really good at what they're doing. So if you're trying to get better at painting, find something that is the kind of artwork you want to create and see if you can understand how that artist made those things, and you try to replicate one for one exactly what they did. In that process, that is another way of doing this deliberate practice, this expertise development. It's just copying. And in the copying, you learn a lot of the specifics that will help you to do that kind of stuff better. When I started making YouTube videos, Larry, one of the things I did is I looked up my favorite YouTubers, and some of them had videos that just show how they edit videos. And I learned so many tricks of the trade just in watching them edit their own videos. I was like, oh wow, if you talk too long during this part, you can take the next clip and kind of slide it above and have the next one start a little bit earlier, and like most people don't even notice that. Wow, I didn't know you could do stuff like that. So
I didn't
copying,
know you could do stuff like that.
I didn't
Okay.
know you could do that, right? Copying one for one is a great way to learn. And I'm not saying it to like pass off your work as theirs. It's not about
Right, right,
plagiarism.
right. No, it's
It's
yeah,
about mastering the craft and
tricks of the trade.
tricks of the trade. Exactly. So that's the away mission. I think it's pretty
That
straightforward
was
here.
cool. I want you to send me all the links to those people who are.
Yeah, and Justin says here, yes, Dr. Ali, I'm a visual artist. I use YouTube often to start a new project if I'm unfamiliar with the medium or the materials. Absolutely,
Mhm.
it's exactly what I do, Justin. I'm trying, Larry, to experiment more with short form content, like 45-second to a minute content.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh, you're
yeah,
gonna go all What's the TikTok?
The TikTok as the
Well, Reel. I mean, I'm better on Instagram, and
you're
Reels are now 60 seconds. They were 30 seconds, and now they're
yeah, yeah. So
Shorts are
that
still 15, but Reels stick around. So
yeah, the thing that I remember this, and I feel so old saying this, but
yeah,
when I started making YouTube videos when I started exploring what
say
YouTube
it.
videos are in 2014, I remember thinking 3 4 minute long videos. How am I going to say anything worth saying in 3 to 4 minutes? And now we're in a world where it's 30 to 60 seconds, really. So what to get
I
at
think
what
that's
Justin just
optimal.
said here, before I even make my first video, I have spent for something like TikTok, I've spent a lot of time trying to understand what is it that makes 45 to 60 seconds compelling, interesting, and useful. And so, how can I make my version of these videos that I really love that are in 30 to 60 seconds? Like,
Mhm.
don't start from scratch. This is the cool thing about being a human being. We can learn from other people. So that's kind of the away mission I'm talking about over here, folks.
Was that an added away mission, or maybe? Okay,
I
we
don't
haven't
know.
gone. Oh wow, I thought we'd gone to hailing, and you were getting back into it.
Now we're opening up
We're
those
officially
hailing
open.
frequencies now. Larry, I when our stream broke up, I lost all the first hour, 45
Oh,
minute comments.
I have it
So
in Restream, and I do want to say, hey Dan, sorry to hear about your Dan's suffering from COVID, and he's
oh
here with us
no,
today. So Dan Leckie, so I'm glad you're getting through it, but you take care, man.
yeah, you take care, Dan. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you do get through these next few weeks well. Um, as much as you
Yeah.
can, get some rest, and take care of yourself.
So do you have a few minutes of
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
a few minutes. Do you have a few minutes of chat that you're getting
Let's
into?
do some chat. Let's catch up.
Uh,
You go from top down. I'll go from bottom up.
I'm about what am I? About a little bit away here.
Oh, this message from Cairo. I think the thing about those short videos is similar to ads. They have to be 60, 30, or even sometimes 50, 15 seconds for quite some time. That's a cool way to think about it, Cairo, is, ads they kind of have a very simple message. So the key to like short form content is one very simple message. You're not going for complexity, and that's what's kind of turned me around to short form content as well. Cairo is so for some people it's just that could be the entry point to help them discovering you, and then they can go on and discover the longer form stuff that you have, right, Larry? Sometimes the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, it's meant to be a feeder or a funnel into your other things. But
Yeah, like you posted about stellar cartography, the update that happened a few years ago, and
mhm.
kind of remembering
I
that.
had the yeah, I had
Yeah,
the I found out we looked to the for the anniversaries. People like having things pegged to days, like and birthdays and death memorial days are a big thing, and like event days. But there are all kinds of obscure. Like when I was first doing postings, it was easy to say, Errand of Mercy was the first appearance of Klingons, and that aired on this date in whatever. But absolutely. But it's another thing to say, well, this is the first day that Klingons were on camera, which is not nearly as no. Now it is. Now Memory Alpha's stolen everything and told everybody. Uh, at least on the more popular shows. But no, I mean I'm kidding. But the obscure dates that are still kind of cool, people enjoy that. And
yeah.
so that was, and then if it's personal, that's what I'm kind of doing right now. And Scott's been helping me do that. So yeah, so one of the things was, when did any of my books first appear officially? Although books and things are always notoriously ahead of the official date. So that's what that was. That was pegged to a specific day, but it was another peg to talk about that and remind that. And the other thing, sometimes we should make this a theme. No matter how much you think the whole world knows something, there are still people that don't. And
Mm,
if you're trying to promote an event like a convention, and you've done it for 10 years and you still have people walk in and say, I didn't know this was here, or you have a store, you have a storefront, or you do anything, and people say after 10 years of doing it, I didn't know this was here. Some people get all upset about it. but hopefully you're learning from that. But anyway, there's got to be a phenomenon there about things, hopefully good ideas, good knowledge getting to people, and why it takes a while to. I don't know. Maybe that's not a frameable idea, but it's amazing to me how you think you've done something for forever, and it takes. I don't know how I got down this rabbit hole, but anyway, it's it's an interesting phenomenon about how you think you've tried to get the word out about anything, and some people just don't. Their orbit doesn't take it in, no matter how much you're trying hard to reach out to people on things.
So, a comment from Phil here. In the world of small companies, there's no apprentice training because the only person who knew the job is gone, and no one else at the company knows how to do the job. Therefore, they need someone to come in, sit down, and start producing. Yeah, so this is absolutely true, Phil. And
that happens with vacations too. You finally get a vacation to get away, and there's nobody that really knows, and somebody's caretaking.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think this is something that speaks to what you were talking with entrepreneurship, Larry. It's also something I've experienced in the startup world, and this is where I think if you are in that role or you're asked to do something and no one else really knows what to do, you can still do deliberate practice, but it becomes more of that finding other people who have done it and trying to copy them or emulate them or read about their work. Whether it is like reading articles about how to do this role, whether it is trying to find someone else in the same industry. And Larry, you talk about your having other colleagues who are doing entrepreneurial work and learning from them about like different models that are helpful for them. I've had to do a lot of the same of like talking to people who are in the startup world who try to do the same kind of things that I'm doing. It's very difficult to be solo in these roles without any knowledge or background context for how to do them well. Because
And that's why a lot of that in that entrepreneurs depend on community, and you'd like to just pay people to come in and do the stuff you don't want to do, and if you're not in that position, you try to have a community where you can lean on people and maybe pay. Do people a friends? We got very businessy here all of a sudden. I guess
we did, but
that's the topic.
Yeah, right. But it does tie into Star Trek too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's you need a crew. Like who
Right.
who in Star Trek is able to do all these
It
things
takes a
alone?
village.
It
Yes,
takes a village to run a starship. And Linda's got a comment here. Unfortunately, very few these days have the patience to learn the correct way, mentorship, apprentice, which is one of the main reasons I'll be retiring with all of my knowledge not being passed on to the next generation. So frustrating. I wonder, Linda, if there is some way to share what you know with someone who might be interested in that. I think this is also what's very
Start a YouTube channel, Linda.
yeah, or a TikTok. Find some way to kind of share that, whether it's
Here's
with one person
15-second bites. There you go. Yeah.
I think I mean, this is why the beauty of the apprenticeship model too. We often talk about the apprentice, but we don't often talk about the very experienced person and how meaningful it is to share what you know with other people. And in some ways, there's a lot more opportunities to do that now. In some ways, there's less opportunities to do that now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going back through chat.
Please.
And there's a little bit of reaction to the Oh, by the way, Libby, you were talking about the Ferengis' future and all that. We've never been to. Just remember, we've never seen a real Tellarite speaking character, and I don't mean those characters in short treks. We've never been to Tellar Prime. We have no clue how Tellarite society looks. So, I mean, the Andorians finally got a little love thanks to Shran and some now with Rin. But
What's
anyway,
the hashtag Tellarites for?
time for Tellar Prime.
Time for Tellar Prime. There you go.
Yeah.
And
thank you also to Dan Lecky Hernandez.
yes, Hernandez was the captain.
Everybody's always good about popping in when I do a brain freeze on the thing. Justin J.P. Perry said, speaking of DS9, how about Kern's on the job training as station security? It didn't last long. He says, I know he was dealing with dishonor depression, but I think we were cheated out of funny moments of him scaring aliens. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he struggled in that role. Very much so, very much so. Gosh,
Oh,
those are some great Klingon episodes in DS9.
okay. Galinda jumped in here with a subtle boost for the Friends of Michael Braveheart, which I didn't mention, but yes, he still has his campaign going. Gates, and for those of you who wondered, I may be stealing from the end here. Michael Braveheart, who was nurse slash ensign Martinez and got promoted in the movies, he was Dr. Crusher's silent partner in sickbay for years, and then when they needed someone to have lines, that's when they created Ogawa. Um, oh, there you go. Uh, yeah, I've got one eye on my OU Texas game. It's a bizarre year. But he had health issues. COVID ruined his ability to do acting lessons. That's how he'd been making his income. He was in New York. He moved to LA. Anyway, he started GoFundMe to help with his medical, and he had some long-term therapy and housing that he needed to do. And he'd been getting some help, some government type agency aid, but he still needed a little bit extra to get him over the hump with some things that he needed that weren't being provided. And and I'd been trying to give him a boost. He was going to be a Portal 47 guest, and then got to where he wasn't in good enough health to do it. And while we were waiting, he did that. Well, Gates McFadden saw it was his birthday, and I did one of my posts about it being his birthday, and maybe it would brighten his day if everybody could give a little something to his GoFundMe. And Gates saw that and retweeted it, and that really spiked it, which was good on her. And he wound up he's got 3/4 of his drive now, where he'd been a little below half. Anyway, he got a couple of thousand in just from Gates. So I don't know what prompted Glinda to mention that, but I'll go ahead and throw that out there now as a feel-good thing. I didn't really come in with anything for the end of the show, so as you saw. So I'm going to get back to reading chat. How are you doing on working?
Yeah, there are great messages here. Nathaniel says, can I bring up Boimler's time in the Borg simulation again? Although it does not involve a mentor, it does show him using the simulation to evaluate his performance and adjust his strategy each time until he can perform a higher level conceptual task. 100% agree with you, Nathaniel. I love that sequence for a lot of reasons. One, it shows you how simulation can really help you improve. Two, it is deliberate practice in action. His score is directly related to his performance. It would have been a little bit better if the simulation could give him some pointers on how he can improve so he can go back. He had to learn the hard way, but he was stuck in there for a long time, so he had a lot of time to learn. Number three, it also shows us the beauty of video games and how video games are really heightened for learning. Now, video games are often heightened for learning how the game works, but that process and principle can be used to improve your performance in real-world tasks. That's something Star Trek really shows well, whether it's Troy's training, it's the Kobayashi Maru, it is what Boimler is going through. I love that example. And Nathaniel, I do hope that pays off with a Borg encounter. Not the Borg encounter we had in Vegas, but a different one. I hope that pays off for Lower Decks.
Not the Borg encounter that we want, but the Borg encounter that we need.
Yeah.
Phil Barnes had one here at 11:36, and he reposted it from way back. He says when he was in tech school in the Air Force, one instructor told us, "We're going to show you how it should be done. When you get to your permanent base, they'll show you how it will be done."
That's true. That's true. I like how Justin says when people cross in the mirror universe, they definitely get some brutal onto the chapter.
Brutal, capital B, brutal. Yes.
Which is great to see. It's great to see that in Lower Decks. Like, yeah, they definitely are knowledgeable and know about the mirror universe, and it's something they have to get a little training in. Like, just in case you ever find yourself like slipped into the mirror universe, here's how you have to act. I really love that.
Christoph says, "Damn, we missed the NYCC disco panel, which was streamed for free, unblocked." Well, excuse me there.
And you know what? We stream this for free every week, Christoph. Every week we're here. Yeah, I love spread out here. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that though. Another one here. Jared a while back talked about Bob Ross and how learning how to emulate masters, and Bob Ross is a really great example of that. That you too. Everyone can paint. Just put a little happy tree here and just give it a little bit of leaves, and you too can paint. It's just painting little happy signs.
Is it really the painting lesson, or is it?
There's your weekly ASMR as well. And Glenn said in the best Drew Carey voice, "Welcome to Life Support Live, where everything's made up and the points don't matter."
Yeah, that was the thing. Whenever anybody would do something, well, I said, "Great, you win 1 point." It's like, what's a point? I don't know, but you got one. They're completely free and tax deductible, right?
Well, Larry, I think it's that time for our wonderful theme song to play here.
Check this out.
I love our theme song. It's quite good. Larry, what do you got cooking for us this week? What's happening in Trekland?
I've had to reschedule my open house. I didn't do a graphic for it. It'll be sometime in November because we're still dealing with guest schedules and things. So I've got to announce the day, then we'll announce the guest. But otherwise, I know it's kind of a weird thing, but I've got a panel at the rescheduled mini San Diego Comic-Con
The weekend Thanksgiving, right?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I have no graphics ready for this, but the Nichelle Nichols farewell is finally going to happen. It's going to be hooked into LA Comic-Con, but as its own separate thing, just adjacent. So they'll have their own entity down at LA Convention Center. So I think if you're on the mailing list for that, you've probably heard all this. But they're partnering with LA Comic-Con. So if you have a ticket to the Nichelle and you still have it and you didn't get a refund, you can go to LA Comic-Con and vice versa. But I'll be down there moderating and having a table and all that. And I'm throwing it out there that I don't think I'm going to have an organized LA Away Days, but if anybody is in the market, I think there's a comfort zone now where I can reopen doing Trekland Treks, the day tours. So if anybody is coming to the Nichelle farewell and you want to sign up for a day tour like the Thursday before or the Monday after or such, I haven't actively promoted this, so there's time to jump in and do that.
Amazing.
LarryNevicek.com. Yeah, I'm kind of rolling here because it's been kind of an interesting week, or interesting month or so. But that's where I am.
A lot of good stuff happening. Yeah. So one thing I want to just promote: if anyone is interested in learning more about this concept, check out the book called Peak by Anders Ericsson, a psychologist who really focused on this research related to deliberate practice. It's a wonderful book, and Anders Ericsson unfortunately passed away last year. But I really love this book. Really recommend it to folks. I will be trying out a little bit of TikTok, so if you're interested, you can follow me over there.
Oh.
And as usual, the Psych Show is where I'm hanging out at Olliamatu on social. And folks, we'll be back. There's a lot more Star Trek. Go watch that Disco Season 4 trailer. And until next time, live long and prosper, my friends.
Oh, there we are. Yes, LLEP.